For the longest time, I felt Automation's severe lack of an inline 8 option. And in a desperate attempt to get an inline 8, I actually made one, flathead and everything. But now there's another option. We'll kind of get like the look of the engine that we want. We'll add the extra cylinders on later. And then we're gonna use this straight 8 that I made using a real firing order and all that sort of stuff. This thing is phenomenal. I love it. But we need to start somewhere, and I thought, you know what, I haven't done a hot rod in a while, and this is very much the sort of vehicle that might have actually come with the straight 8. I thought about one of these, but I wanted to have the engine bay open like a full hot rod. Now, to pull off our dastardly plan, we're gonna go with an inline 6, and it's gonna be a regular old push rod and made out of a lot of cast iron. This is meant to be basically a company that made aeroplanes, like the straight 8s were originally used for airplanes, and then they started to make cars, and they like coach built this thing, and then eventually down the line somebody took it and hot rodded it because there was a great disappreciation of older sports cars between the like probably 30s to 70s sort of time period. Go have a look on Jay Leno's garage. They had like a ginormous vehicle that was used as a tow rig. Oh my god. Now, the rest of this doesn't really matter. It can all just be straight up or whatever. Nobody cares. I'm gonna go low compression because this is meant to have low compression. I don't think it actually changes anything. It's just something I want. Obviously, no turbos. And what sort of... yeah, this is interesting. Having a look at this straight 8, I can't actually see any sort of intake here. And it's also upside down. It seems that Google doesn't know what straight 8 means. What happens if I go, like, in brackets or something? Because it's always showing me straight 6s. Like, god damn it. That's a straight 12. Oh my god, Google, I hate you so much. But it does show here what sort of orientation we got. We can see here that we got, like, one, what I'm assuming is a carburetor. It's a little bit hard to tell. I don't know if it's, like, a pre-carburetor, if there's a thing like that, per 3 cylinders. So let's just try to evenly divide it in a way in which we can put up to a different sort of engine. Yeah. We'd have to move this carburetor along, and then add another carburetor even further down. So I think this works. I'm just not happy with the manifold. It looks a little bit weird, like angling up like this. Compact doesn't look right. High race doesn't look good either. I'd love to have one of these per carburetor though, but well. So I think, yeah, we'll go with compact for now, because that's really the best option we got, I feel. The rest of this also doesn't matter except for RPM, and we're gonna max it out at somewhere like 4,200 RPM, and then we're gonna go with a simplified cast log exhaust. And no mufflers on here because this thing needs to be as loud as possible. Now, we're also gonna lose all of this exhaust. We're gonna make a custom one. It's gonna be rear-wheel drive, it's gonna be a manual, and I'm thinking maybe something like a 3-speed. I don't know, I'm not entirely sure yet. Top speed. Now, this is based off of RPM and whatnot. Well, this thing is an absolute torque monster of an engine that I've made, so it's not gonna be like hugely fast because all of that torque happens way down low. Obviously, cross-ply is probably some sort of like medium compound, maybe even a hard long life, because medium compound looks a little too new for what we're going for. But then again, I do like the pattern. Ugh, I'm so torn. Now, it's gonna have the nice narrow tires that you would have. I feel that's looking a little too wide still. Yeah, 135s, 125s. What's that look like? You know what, let's go even narrower. There we go. That looks like just chuck on some wheels and you're done sort of thing. Oh, that's great. Then drum brakes as you'd expect. Off-road skid tray just to make it a little bit heavier. This thing will have a little bit of extra flow and cooling over it. Low quality, this thing needs to have huge amounts of air drag. You know what, actually, we're going to turn the cooling up and the brake airflow up even more. Just then we don't run into the inadvertently accidentally making a car that can go at a decent speed sort of thing, which is very unrealistic for this time of that was the wrong wording. Let me start that again. This time period. That's the one. Time period. Not time of the period. Ugh. Anyway, 2 seats. They're going to be standardized, no radiator entertainment sort of thing. Safety will be like none, probably, even though we really do want this to be heavy. You know what? Let's go add extra weight on again. And then a comfort sort of preset. And apparently we have strong understeer and car has severe issues with wheel spin. Now, I'm not sure exactly how this gearing is going to go, but let's hope that it does okay. I did also fiddle with the engine a little bit to give it a more mirroring the sort of torque numbers that we get, the torque curve, I should say. It is like 3 times the amount of torque, but we'll go with it as is. First thing, let's go ahead and give this thing a primary paint color. I'm thinking some sort of like a really sleek looking black sort of thing. And then for the hood, we're gonna paint that invisible. Now all we need to do is paint away the rest of it. We're also probably gonna set this thing to have a basic chassis there. We still get the chassis rails, that's good. Let's do the tedious task of trying to cut this out, because I believe this body, I used it a while ago. There is no lip at the bottom that's invisible. So if we try to go here, oh no, there is invisible lip. Good, okay. Or is that just because the angle it's on? Okay, yeah. Oh god, this is gonna take a while. Okay, we have meshed out pretty much everything. Now I like to use this mesh because I can see through it to make sure that it's cleanly cutting everything out. Then what I can do is, because I've given everything the same paint color, I then paint it transparent, similar to what I do with the wing trick. And when you look at that, pretty much everything's done. Now we can clean this up in Blender and we'll do that later. But for now, we've got a fairly good cut out front end. We're just gonna make this engine fit a little bit better to how I imagine it to be in my head. First things first, we're going to make it big, because this thing has a lot of torque. Then move it forwards because it needs to balance entirely on the front axle. That's how these things ran. And a little bit up, I feel, just so then it's like not really interfering with any of the suspension. And that looks pretty good. You know what? I want to paint the engine block. And we got a red one here. We got a green engine block, though this one looks like aftermarket modified. This one just looks like straight polished metal. Then this one's like a military green with black paint on the wall. Oh, interesting. Military green. Oh, yeah. Military green, I'm liking it. Something just about there, faded a little bit, make it a little bit darker. Oh, that looks appropriate. Now, some of you out there are gonna be like, oh, that's not military green. Military green is this shade. It's a little bit darker and a little bit tinted. I don't care. It looks military green enough for me, and I'm not going to look up paint codes. Now, I have actually had people comment sorts of things like that, and I mean, I don't hate it. It's just, sometimes people get a little bit aggressive when they probably, shouldn't, because they can be quite mean sometimes, these guys. That's looking what I would call a lot better. I also want to change maybe the color of the transmission, but it's going to change everything. You know what? I'm fine with that. A lot of things were very universally painted anyway, so we're just going to go running gear. I'm going to give this one also a very sort of hard, rough, plasticky sort of color. I think that's done an okay sort of job. I wish the differentials would also paint, but I mean, what can you do? This is just right after the war sort of time period, except the year is wrong. What year can we set this to? 1945, good. We can go like the oldest year possible. I want to start by making the firewall so then I can know how I could place my exhaust, I think. But you know what? Let's also give it wheels. Wheels are very important. I wish I had like a wooden wheel option, but I don't think I do. So we're going to have to go like wire wheels or something like that. Luckily, Aruna's wire wheel pack is out now, so we could use that. Oh dear, that's not quite gone how I was expecting wheels to look. Oh, I would like white walls, but the way I'm doing it, the white walls just don't really work. So yeah, we're gonna have to go without white walls. That's disappoint. Very disappoint. Now, for the firewall, there is actually interior parts which do a pretty good job of that, so I think we'll grab some of this. Does this work? No, that does that weird thing where it's like not conforming to the body. I think we'll have to use my normal sort of one that I use, which is just like the full floor set, which is fine because we don't actually have a floor in there at the moment because we've set it to a simplified chassis. So I think this will work. Let's just go ahead and get this to work as best as we can. And then we'll use something like this to fill it in. And then we'll paint this steel, I think, because a lot of these firewalls were steel at the time. Now, exhaust. First thing, we can paint the exhaust invisible. Next thing is we're gonna try sticking on some different pipe shapes. Now, we got a few that are default from automation. Let's try them out. I would like to run something maybe like this, but I don't want to have to create this part, then another part that comes out. And plus, this is gonna stop working by the time we get back to the last cylinder. So that's out. We could, however, run it like this, and then when we get further back, oh, it gets a little too close. We can go with just a straight sort of basic one. It is quite long and it'll do everything we need it to. So if we put that in place, and I think that looks pretty darn good. Question is, what color? Do we just go steel? I think I like steel, because you could also go like the black plasticky sort of thing that it's like a hard paint. But I like the idea of steel. Just good old-fashioned steel, very fashionable at the time. So let's just go create a few more of these. And when we go to add this extra couple of cylinders in, we'll also do the extra exhaust stuff at the same time. I think it's possible. What I would have liked to have done is had maybe a bend here, then, I don't know. A lot of the ones I'm seeing in the pictures here are all collectors into like one runner, but I don't want to do that. I want to have the individual sort of Brutus thing. Oh wait, it seems that even the Brutus has a collector into one. Nah. I want to go through all the effort of like coding in individual exhaust pipes, which is like such a pain in the ass, but I'm gonna do it. I'm brave enough. Now, I've given this thing like the German scientists that get taken to America sort of name. Probably not going to be a very successful company with a name like that, but we'll give it a try anyway. It's called Rufus. I feel that looks a lot better. There's actually not a whole lot to do on this body. This body is mostly good as is. Ooh, yeah. We can give it a drag body sort of look with a lifted rear end a little bit and the extended front end. I like. The dashboard that I've chosen kind of sticks out from underneath, but it fits the design we're going for, so I think we're just gonna live with it for now. It's also incredibly offset to one side. What the hell? What? That's weird. What the hell? I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually really not liking this mod. For one thing, I can't make this steering shaft the length that I want it to be because it's like at a weird freaking angle, but doesn't line up with everything else. So there was no need for it to be at a weird angle. They've done some very questionable choices here. We're going to line this up as much as we can to line up with the steering box, which is like, I think meant to be this right here. So we'll do our best, and then we'll get a 3D fixture on there instead. Let's see now if a steering wheel is at least lined up. No. How? How does the steering wheel not line up with the steering what? Alright. It's fine. I've also put a little bit of extra detail on the car as well, like you can see around here, and I've got like a line going right down the hood. Oh, sorry, the hood, the roof line. I'm really digging this sort of car. This is looking pretty good. I think I might just put a little bit of chrome trimming down here and we'll be done. With that, we're going to take this over and we're going to do a little bit of editing in Blender. I'm not going to show you the whole process because I've done other videos on this in the past. The only thing that I'm going to be doing a little bit different is I'm going to be taking this and putting it into here. But it's very similar to doing steering wheel modifications, how you just duplicate the body, separate it out, except instead of making it its own thing, I'm going to attach it to the engine. I should probably see how this thing drives first. We've got 1.3 tons. Very heavy vehicle, very clad iron sort of chassis design. 4 minutes 16. Let's see how it drives quickly in automation also before we put in the new engine and the do some visual modifications. And here she is in all of her like completely Roger Dodge glory. Lots and lots of wheel spin. Whoa. This is going to be so much worse once we actually get the new engine in here. Lots of understeer, which is what I really did expect. Now this is from the time where they didn't know that being light was the most beneficial thing in the world, especially if you're going by the accordance of Gordon Murray and his ethos towards things. Very wallowy, I love it. I also got rid of all of the anti-roll bars here. You can see that this thing just loves to jiggle, because these wouldn't have had anti-roll bars. In fact, it probably would have had transversely mounted leaf springs instead of longitudinal leaf springs like what we've got here. But it is not completely gone. Oh! Yeah, I think this is in dire straits of needing to be modified. I'm also going to be putting exhaust on, like, firing thing for the pre-fire, afterburner, which you see here. No, it's not gonna do afterfire. Hold on, afterfire modifier, 1,000%. This is what I was talking about. What? Why is it not doing it? It's not doing any. God damn it, devs! What have you done? Also, why is the engine block the wrong color? Lots of things to fix. We'll be back. Now, here is our fantastic engine we're going to put in. Before we go over like how the engine sounds, I just want to give you a little bit of like some pro tips, even though I'm not really a pro. Anyway, moving on. The first thing that I did was what was actually told to me directly by Arj. Put in at the end of every cylinder in a bank sound attenuation, which is basically volume. And you go from 0.75 to I think he said like 1.1 or something like that. So go ahead, play with some numbers, put them all in there. And that'll give it a little bit of a more uneven firing sound. But I went a little bit further. Actually, I probably went a lot further, probably probably a lot further than what I really should have. I just wanted to break up the sound a lot more. For this dumpster fire, I had very few that was on the exact firing time. As you can see here, there's like fractions. This one's close to 5. This one's just after 3. This one's just before 1. So I did some jankness there. And then on the exhaust cam, at least, I did a little bit of fiddling with things. So I added on some extra degrees here, units degrees. So extra 2 degrees, 1 degree, -1, 3, -4, just to play around with it a little bit. And it does make the engine a lot more jank and a little bit harder to run, but it's an old engine. This is from like the 1920s sort of time period. I then also played with these numbers a little bit, made them a little bit uneven, which helped a little bit. Don't play with these numbers. These numbers are also, yeah, don't play with them. I then made one of the camshafts not exactly on a degree of rotation, but just a little bit extra, just to add a little bit extra sound. And yeah, this is what this bad boy sounds like. Oh wait, hold on. Have to stop it from stalling on idle. It becomes very, very clunky. But here's a full power run. I think that is pretty freaking awesome. Let's go through the gears in this thing. There is a gear shift setup. I don't really use it because it's very weird, and you'll see that when we get to miles per hour, it's very low. But like even the top gear, it's still very low. So let's hold the gears open a little bit. Shift up 1 gear, let go of the clutch. And then do that again. Oh, stalled it. Now, I was going to play with these before I did the recording, but I kind of forgot to do that. Let me just give you some little tips, though. Volume, sure. Conv? I just never play with that. I hate conv. It's horrible. You got the other ones. You got all of the key bindings that you can use. If you go to the GitHub, you'll find that it's got all of the key buttons you can press here, and you can play with these. And they did say that you really should be playing with these if you want to get like a specific sound. And I did actually find a good sound. It's just I accidentally reset the sim and lost all of my hard work. Now, if you like this video, I'd like to ask you to subscribe. Not only will you make me happy, but you'll also get to see more videos like this as they release. And maybe one day I won't feel awkward when telling my friends about how I like to do YouTube. I was just about to troubleshoot, and yeah, I didn't expect that. So idle sounds fine. There is something wrong. What have I done wrong? Oh, I left everything at 1. Oh, God, I did the same mistake I did in the last episode. Oh God, I'm such a nincompoop. All right, done that, and much better sounding. Apparently, I think we're over-talking the engine. Oh, God, engine permanently engine over-talked. Oh no. But you'll also notice that I did put in a lot of engine shake, and all of the exhaust is actually putting out flames and all of that good stuff. Oh, I love this thing so much. I wonder what happens if I clutch on this now. Can I just rev this all the way out? Okay, that's red line, and all that wheel spin. Oh God! Why does it? I have never had this issue before. What is causing that? That is so weird. I mean, sure, I about 4 times the amount of powered it. Over rev. I wonder, maybe if I go to more powerful internals. So let's go ultra heavy duty internals. And it's no longer popping. So that's good. I do like the idea though of having weaker internals and you can upgrade them. That's fantastic. Oh, and those fires flying out of the side. That's great. Oh God, I have to get out of like, there's a little bit of torque twist that I don't like. I just want it side to side, but there's not a whole lot I can do. So it twists, hold on, along this axis just a little bit more than what I would like. But you know what? Not the worst though. As it stands, I love this thing. Let's see what it does around a quarter mile though. Now, we will have stickier grip here, which will help us. Now, what is their oldest vehicle? Is there like a sort by age? It looks like these are both the oldest ones. So let's go with the Burnside Special. And I know it's gonna have a lot more traction than me, but oh, you know what? Let's go with a lead sled, I reckon. I think that's gonna be an appropriate approximation. I may have a little bit more torque or a little bit more power. Oh, whoops. But he has a lot more traction than I do. We are lined up and boom. Quarter mile started. Okay, I only have a 3-speed compared to whatever it is that he's running. I do have more torque. Yes! Oh my god, I'm taking the lead sled! Suck it, bitch! And less than 15 seconds, this thing is insanely fast, especially for its oh, did I DNF? Oh no. Oh no, it says I won. It's just for some reason I got a DNQ, did not qualify? What? I don't know about you, but I don't really know about qualifying in a drag race. That sounds a bit weird. So let's give this one a bit of a drive now around. I love seeing like that little bit of exhaust wiggle and just knowing that the engine is shaking a lot. I might put on a moving steering wheel and everything and maybe put this one up on the BeamNG repositories for you guys to try. I'll also put the, what's it? Oh god, this thing. I also up the inertia of the engine, so it's like, it holds its RPM quite easily. I did that so then it would get the overrun for a lot longer as well. But I will put this on the repository, and in the description I will put a link to the engine file itself. My god, will you stop doing wheel spins? You know what? Let's weld the diff, which is a not too uncommon thing to do. I'm surprised that the wheels are able to lock up with such a heavy-ass vehicle. Rear differential, a welded rear diff. Race diff, probably not the most accurate sort of thing, but here we go. Yeah, I wish there was like a amount of power you could put through a diff before it broke. Maybe I'll have a look into that. Oh, this thing has become... It's a drift monster. What the hell? I mean, I call it a drift monster, but it's actually more accurate to probably call it a power slide monster. And it just does it in the form of a drift. Whoa. With 800 Newton meters, which is... I don't know what that is in pound-feet. I'll just plop it up on the screen there for you. Oh my god, bro. Oh my god, bro. Oh, there we go. We saved it. Okay. Oh my god, this thing is insane. It's so much fun to drive though. It is actually really fun. Oh, the engine locked up. Whoops. Let's go ahead and refresh that. Come on. It doesn't really like to get off the line with the initial low power number, but it really quickly comes into its own. It's just not very efficient to get away from idle, with all of the camshaft and everything out of alignment, the crankshaft not being 100% perfect. And just that sound. It sounds a little bit weird. It sounds like I'm playing it down a cardboard tube. But that's the sort of things I could tweak. And I was also meant to record my own... It's like a sound thing. Hold on, let me quickly show you. This irlib.default0, this kept on telling me that this is something that everyone should change. And I haven't gotten around to recording my own things. I was going to do it over the weekend, but life got in the way. So I'll look into doing this as well. I think that would have given a better sound than it sounded like it's in a cardboard tube. Because apparently this is actually slightly based off of, I mean, like that audio file is from a guitar, I believe, an acoustic guitar. Can you unhear it now? Like somebody getting a bit of a reverb tap through a guitar. Ooh, okay. Let's keep driving this thing around. I want to see, actually, you know what? Let's give it some lap record times and see how we do. My god, this thing is... well, I think this engine is 16 liters or something. Oh god. And I think I've got somewhere around like a 15:1 compression ratio. No, sorry, it'd be less than 15:1. It's 15:1 before, but it's probably now somewhere along the lines of like a 13 compression ratio or something. But this engine is huge. Let me just quickly show you. 13.9 liters. And the thing doesn't generate a huge amount of power. As you can see, the torque comes on quite a bit, but we're generating somewhere around 800 Newton meters, I believe, or just shy of. And then the power comes out to about 176 kilowatts, which is about this much horsepower if you work in funny numbers. You know, I just realized I also don't have engine mounts, so I might make engine mounts as well for this thing. Oh god. Okay, so we're gonna take it around this track to start with. And then we'll try some other tracks that I love. I think like a 2-minute lap is a good lap time. So let's see how we do compared to that. And I'm gonna go probably full sweat mode in this because this car is not gonna be particularly fast. And I don't wanna have to restart laps. So once we just get to the first braking point, okay, oh crap. Already too late. Starting in full sweat mode this time, a little bit smarter. We still did manage to brake a little too late, and you'll see that the understeer just kills this thing. And it's normally actually quite advantageous to have understeer with a vehicle like this because this thing just wants to kick out all of the time. So you gotta be careful going around the corners and then make sure you're braking early enough and getting it turned around. But even if you drift, you don't have traction anywhere, so the thing is just going to slowly move to the side. But once you get used to braking early enough, you surely won't make that mistake again, will you? No. Only a stupid idiot person would keep making the same mistakes. But you know what? I'm going to give myself a little bit of an ease on punishing myself a little too much here, because I started to realize that maybe having the lock differential wasn't great. Lock differentials tend to cause understeer, and then when doing power oversteers, it's perfect for drifting, but not really for keeping a car stable. So it felt like this thing was just really fighting me the entire way. Now we're gonna have to go quite slow here heading onto the main street, but you realize that it doesn't actually really matter because this thing doesn't have the greatest top speed, and in getting there as well is also a real big hassle. As long as you can just get around the corners, point and squirt, this thing is kind of okay. Get into the highest speeds, your power sorts of dulls out a little bit. And you can see that we're already starting to reach our top speeds, and we're like 180, I believe, is what we reach on here, which, you know, is very appropriate for this sort of time. It just feels right. Our braking point, though, is really super early. We're hitting the earliest braking points, which is usually the sort of thing you're doing if you're reaching maybe 200 miles an hour, maybe not 200 kilometers per hour. But we get around these corners, it does quite nicely. I've started to get used to the car a little bit more, but the thing still wants to chew up tires as if it's really, really hungry for rubber. And then we absolutely balk this corner really hard into the wall. Only a little bit of suspension damage, so it's not too bad, but at least coming to this fake corkscrew sort of area, we do actually a pretty good job. We get turned in quite nicely, and I really focused on getting turned the other way quite early, and then powering on to help get this thing turned around a little bit, because getting this thing turned was really one of the trickiest things. But yeah, I overcooked it right towards the end as well, and just a little bit of a clatter. Luckily, the suspension was seemingly a little bit more tough than what I was expecting it to be. But yeah, we only have the chicane left, and we are done. Nothing could go possibly wrong. Nothing at all. Oh my god. Oh god, that took forever. Holy cow. Alright, instead, I think I'm gonna remove that welded rear diff. I think that's making it a little bit harder. And instead, we'll just see how this thing is to drive now as is. What time did we just do? I can't even remember. I think it was like a 3 minute and 5 second. Like, my god, that was long. Alright, this lap was actually quite uneventful. Just really, you can see here that the vehicle's a lot less vicious when powering it on out of corners and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna fast forward it. I think by pure virtue of being able to control the vehicle by it not having the welded rear diff has helped a lot. That's knocked over like 25 seconds off the time. That is, yeah. Here's my times for the Phil Hill area. The top one to beat is 1:32, but to be honest, I'm expecting it to be a little bit more down here. Probably even slower than this. So I'm expecting longer than 2 minutes. Yay, full sweat time for 2 minutes. I'm gonna have a headache. This is actually a lot longer than what I expected. I had 2 glitches leading into this that both happened right towards the end of the lap, but we did finally get some things fixed with this car, namely being the fact that for some reason changing slot types in the code doesn't actually change it in BeamNG anymore, which is a part of the reason why we're having troubles with the new supercharger mod at the moment. Once I figure out what's happening in BeamNG, I will be releasing new supercharger mods, and I would love to have this thing actually supercharged. Man, that would be cool. Getting like the information I need for like a turbo or supercharger and put that in. Oh, just all of the cool things that I can do. Man, now, little bits of understeer happening sometimes. What's really happening is every time you see this thing change a gear, the whole body of the vehicle just moves horrifically hard. Just look at like, it just balks under changing a gear, and then boom. The thing torques down on one side, lifts up one wheel, and then just spins it freely. And now we're gonna actually run into a little bit of a theme here. Our tire's about to pop at the worst possible time, which is going uphill and on a power-driven wheel. So it should have, yeah, there we go. And now suddenly, there's just no power going up hills. Like, sure, there's power, but there's no traction is what I should really be saying here. And just the power is spinning through that now deflated, just useless wheel. I don't want to restart the lap one more time. We're getting such slow speeds, and then going around corners is now, I don't know, just a little bit more painful, especially going uphill. But then the power out, look at that. We are getting next to no acceleration here. Oh my god. But we have now reached the top finally, and all we have to do is go downhill. And wouldn't you know it, it's made the vehicle feel very weird under deceleration and turn-in. But we were able to do it. It does actually get a lot worse because going downhill exacerbates heavy vehicles that tend to understeer with their understeer characteristics. And as you can see here, oh, that's unfortunate. Luckily, there's only really 2 corners left, but powering out of this, not particularly bad. We are downhill, we're getting a lot of gravity assist. If only we were getting a little bit of anti-inertia assist, but you just have to go slow. That's what this vehicle is all about, going slow in and then powering out. Unfortunately, the powering out is incredibly hampered right now, but I mean, we weren't going to be setting a blistering lap anyway. This vehicle is just, it's a ton of fun to drive because it's not just driving, it's like an art form, honestly. Oh, around we go, and that was almost by 50% the slowest time ever. 2:51, comparative basically to 2 minutes. That's slow. But we're not done there because I really just want to keep driving this thing. I know it's difficult to drive and the torque is really pushing this vehicle around. Just like the pure weight of its engine, you can really feel it when it kicks in. But let's go full sweat mode now. And the first thing we do under sweat mode is focus on our braking point. Getting braked down and then turned in is the most important thing. Now I found that this thing was really not liking the automatic shift control. I was just trying to feather it so then it wouldn't just completely waste all of its acceleration uphill. I did find that usually just burning tires on a flat or a downhill works quite nicely, but going uphill, this thing tends to really just throw everything away. And then when we get to the top here, this boat just absolutely goes super wide. So I decided at this point, you know what, we're going to use power oversteer to help us get this thing turned and going the right direction. Now down here, we're not actually going that fast, and we brake at an F1 braking point, and guess what? Not early enough. Now, this thing is going a fraction of F1 cars, and it still can't brake in normal points. And then here we are at, I believe this is called Hotel Corner or whatever. Yeah, still massively understeering. It just doesn't like to go downhill and then into a corner. Downhill's fine. It loves gravity. This thing is so fat, but it hates going into corners. Now, you'll also notice that the acceleration, when it happens to shift a gear, it just boots this car wide. Watch this, second gear, and then boom. The thing just absolutely torques the entire chassis, lifts up one of the tires, which then causes that tire to lose traction. And here under the tunnel, we are having lots and lots of wheel spin. Just slow it down a little bit for this corner, but then we get into the trickiest braking point of the entire track. And we're gonna brake super duper extra early because of that. Now, it looks like we're going maybe a little too slow, but that's fine. We're still understeering, so it's not that big of an issue. We use the power oversteer to get the thing turned around and then just boot it. We just want to get this thing going as much as possible, so we don't mind just flooring it completely. Now, this corner, I've gotten pretty good at. This car, though, it just doesn't like it. The turn-in was pretty dull. It was like a high-speed corner where it didn't really like it. I couldn't use power oversteer there because otherwise the thing would probably just chug and understeer massively. And then, yep, we lost another tire. What a pain in the butt. Now, you see here, it is actually causing me problems with turn-in and whatnot, which this car already had problems with, but you're also going to see that the thing is now not so great at counteracting oversteer. So we're not good on corner entrance, and we're not good on corner exit either. As you'll see here, this thing starts getting a little bit sloppy. Now, luckily, we're not turning left at all. We're just turning right, but trying to countersteer left is really problematic. And around again we go. Bump the front area there a little bit. The suspension is only slightly damaged, but then we can finally just power this thing down. I don't care anymore. I just want to get this thing over the line. Please, for God's sake. Nice. That's 3 minutes 17. Which, you know what? I have gotten better at this track and at making cars, but it's not actually far behind these. Only a minute, which, okay. I'm thinking maybe there is something to this car, so we're going to put it on a track where there's a little bit more corners to help deal with things. Straight, and less corners to deal with. My brain really stuffed that one up hard. Let's go full sweat mode. And luckily the sweat mode voiceover, which I'm doing right now, is done the day after because my brain was absolutely just really worn out by this point. I'm starting to find that the tedious nature of converting these engines into BeamNG is really taxing. Like, it's not hard, it's just a process. But it requires quite a bit of focus to do the audio section, cutting it upright. I'd like if there was maybe a smart person out there that knew how to make an exporter. I know that Anj talked about it being possible, but that's not really what he's going to be focusing on right now. What he's going to be focusing on is an entirely new game, which will have potentially exporters in it. He's said that there's lots of potential for those sorts of things to be possible. It's not really compatible with Fmod, but I reckon this could actually replace Fmod if we're being entirely honest, and I really don't like Fmod. Fmod is really, it feels like a gated community sort of thing, where they don't want you really using their software, only game developers using it, which is a bit disappointing. I haven't really tried it myself. I've just seen a lot of stuff, and it doesn't look fun. But here we go, at the slingshot. you have to drift it. There is no way you're gonna get this thing staying on the bitumen and doing a decent corner there. Now keep in mind that this would have been a vehicle used during the times of only dirt roads and only a little bit of bitumen, but mostly dirt and cobblestone. So it's not really meant for bitumen. The thing probably does quite well on dirt for its era, but we're trying to take this thing out of its comfort zone. And a vehicle that was probably modified mostly for drag use, like, I don't think that this would have been considered a show car when this thing was probably converted. Somewhere around the 60s, maybe, for just like somebody's fun project. They would have picked this one up super cheap. Even if this is like a very well-known sort of vehicle, kind of like a Duesenberg, a one-off, made for the super wealthy, all that sort of stuff. It's a cool vehicle, and it struggles at every single corner, and Adam's Apex right here catches out cars that understeer. Now, I like to go 70 kilometers an hour, and it says here we're doing 80 kilometers an hour around this corner. Yeah, that's a bit of a lie. It's getting wheel spin. I wish I could get the Speedo to run off of a specific wheel, because I would totally get it to run off of a front wheel as opposed to a driven wheel and not do an average of all wheels. Oh my god, this thing just... it's so boatish, but luckily we only have one more corner. It's on the flat, so all we have to do is keep it in the straight line and accelerate down to the finish.
which, yay. I actually have nothing left to say. Let's just cut it!
I don't think that's the slowest I've ever been around here. It's the slowest that's showing up on record, but I don't think it's the slowest. Well, I hope you have enjoyed today's video. I actually had a huge amount of fun here. Like, I thought this was just gonna be like a drag car that I would drive, but after I put the engine shake in, I really just wanted to drive this thing a whole lot more. That and also like the custom sound that sounds pretty good. And all of the exhaust, like all the crackles and fires do actually come out of the exhaust properly. I know BeamNG doesn't show it very good. Maybe I'll look into a way to make that look a little bit better one day. But yeah, this is just, it's an experience. Don't drive this car thinking that you're gonna have a blistering lap or anything like that, or do a really good acceleration 0 to 100. Just drive this thing thinking, oh my goodness, what a hump of garbage. See, the idea behind this sort of build was the fact that it was meant to be this car kind of got like really mistreated after its like main usage was over, maybe during the what's that time where all the money went bad in America in the 30s, 20s and 30s? Freaking the Depression. That's the one. God, I'm so depressed that I can't even think right now. Sorry, so depressed about not being able to think right now. God, my brain sucks. Let's just move on to the thanks for everybody that are the channel members, and that includes the special D. Hellerman and Ruben. And I'm going to give a little bit of an extra thanks there to Ringu as well for giving out a whole bunch of channel memberships in the last stream that we did. And that's very appreciated, and I'm sure that everybody that also got them very much appreciate those free channel memberships as well. But for now, I'll catch you all next time. Goodbye.